I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, April the 4th, brought to you in part by Performance Livestock Analytics Performance Beef. Performance Beef is an easy-to-use app. Goes on your phone. It tracks and stores your feeding, performance, and health records in one easy-to-use place. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. The bird flu fiasco. Now, we've been dealing with this all week here. Started out on Monday afternoon when they said that they had a confirmed case of a human getting bird flu from a dairy cow. That human case is recovering nicely, and the worst he had was a case of pink eye there. The dairy cows that have been confirmed to be affected with this virus have not been dying. They get sick and then they doctor them and then they get over it. It's not like with when they get it into a chicken house and they have to euthanize thousands of them and wipe them out to try to get it under control. We have not seen any cases where a human can infect another human. We have not even confirmed that a cow can get it from another cow. As far as we know right now, the cows that have gotten it from birds that were infected. But the blowback from this news about the bird flu in a cow has really affected your beef cattle market, even though we have yet to find it in any beef cattle. Of course, the dairy cattle eventually become beef. But, you know, the beef cattle guys and the whole beef cattle sector are kind of thinking, what the hell? You know, the dairy industry keeps, you know, coming up with these diseases and different things that are affecting our market a lot more than it's affecting anything that they have to do. But for the most part, the government officials have not overreacted to this. All of them, USDA, CDC, FDA even, have said that the risk to the human population and to you know, all of us that matter is very small. And the only people that are really overreacting to this is your funds. Of course, your packers are taking advantage of it, and of course, your packers are, you know, they're in cahoots with some of these fund managers. They're selling this board off in a big way, trying to get this runaway market under control. But you know, it's been in the media, but for the most part, the media has not even overreacted to this, which is rare. But it's really starting to just get frustrating here to those of us that keep track of your beef cattle and those that did not seize on the market with their calves and yearlings. But also your fed cattle arena there, where your packers are totally taking advantage of this, and it's just a black swan event. It has nothing to do with fundamentals of your cattle market, but they're using it. They're trying everything they can to get this market under control, because there's no other way that they can really do it. If we didn't have these black swans coming around, and we knew that one was going to come in, if we didn't have this, the market would just keep getting higher, because sheer supply and demand rules that it gets higher, because we don't have near as much cattle of any class as what there's demand for. But the feeder buyers and your stocker buyers, those that hadn't got all their turnout cattle already secured, they are still optimistic and they're still going after the cattle. Of course, it's in a negotiated auction type setting with price discovery, and that's where you're seeing prices continue to get higher. And we saw some of the highest prices that I've ever seen again on Wednesday in your feeder cattle auctions. But talk about your board, and you know, it kind of came back a little bit from the late Monday sessions that tanked big time, and then Tuesday was back up a little, and then your funds just the funds cannot wait to ride this market down. They know the market's top heavy. Whether or not they understand that it's all due to fundamentals, I don't know, but they cannot wait to ride this thing down, and they just keep jumping on it. Been a lot of trade in your cattle futures, but it's mostly just funds wanting to kill this market so they can ride it down. They did have some success getting it lower on Wednesday, but I wouldn't be surprised if Thursday it doesn't bounce right back if we don't get any more bad news about the bird flu. But look at your board on Wednesday. April live cattle futures were down 85 cents at 180.92. June was down 77 at 175.60. Your back months on live cattle down 42 to down 87. Feeder cattle were down much more than that. April feeder cattle down 255 at 240.95. May was down 227 at 242.57. Back months were all down and consistently down from $1.72 to $2.20 lower there. Grains were up. Of course, they've been lower earlier this week, but May corn was up 5 1/4 cents at 431 3/4. May beans up 8 1/4 cents at 1182 1/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for May skyrocketed up 17 1/4 cents at 580 1/2. Now your fat cattle trade, and you got to remember your spot live cattle, which is April, and we're in April, people. It closed on Wednesday at 180.92. Now bids are lower, but not near that much lower, and we know that there's going to be basis jumpers out there. There always is whenever the board's a lot lower than what your cash market is, and your packers are bidding lower. That's why I just wish that we would find a way where people could demand delivery on these live cattle futures, because you can deliver cattle whenever the board is higher than what cash is, and it gets it right back in line. But we can't demand delivery, or else the packers that were bidding 186, 187, it would cause them to get into the market, buy the futures, and demand delivery at 180.92. Of course, whether or not they would do that, I don't know, because that would support the futures. And you know, everybody in the industry is just down on the futures, whether it's your packers trying to kill the market, or it's people that are feeding cattle or turning cattle out that are just hedging. But Iowa sold 3,400 head confirmed. Market on a live basis was 186 to mostly 187. That's going to be at least $3 lower, and there's enough of them trade that it pretty well established the market in the northern plains. Dress sales 295 to 296, and that's mostly $4 lower. Nebraska 7,100 head, live price was only 187. Dress price from 295 to mostly 296 also. Now we haven't seen any trade so far in the southern plains other than just some mixed bag type of off quality cattle. But in Kansas and Texas we have not seen any trade of pure steers and heifers or better quality kind, and we're very curious to see what's going to happen here on Thursday. Will they maybe get 186 with the northern plains trading at a premium and them getting 187? Can they still scratch 186 in the southern plains, or are they going to have to take something less than that? Sioux Falls Regional Livestock Market there in Worthing, South Dakota, they had a fat cattle auction like they do every Wednesday. It was a lot bigger than the previous week because last week they had a snowstorm that kind of curbed receipts, but with no real comparison there, they could still see that the market was steady to slightly higher than last week's light comparison there. Conventional type fat steers and heifers sold through the auction there with competitive bidding at 186.5 to 193.50. With program cattle, the drug-free or non-implanted cattle, selling from 188 to 196. And all we can get bid in the country is 187 on top quality cattle in the northern plains. Box beef cutout values were lower again, and that is one problem that the packers can't seem to get that shored up, or at least what they show us on the box beef cutout values. But they were lower again, and significantly lower. Choice cuts down 286 at 301.30. They desperately got to keep that thing over $3, guys, as they're still having to give nearly that much on the hoof or dressed out in the country there, and having to sell that box beef cutout values at 301.30. Of course, most of their sales are way out front. They're on some type of a formula deal. Not much not sure how much is actually trading on that spot market that they're reporting there. But select's down 207 at 296.92. Your slaughter 352,000 through the first 3 days of the week, 15,000 less than last week, 17,000 less than the same week a year ago. And even though your packers have really grinded down on these change speeds, they're not able to get the dress market up. Talk about what else is going on. We've been having a lot of fun with your Punchy Pick of the Month contest, guys. The Punchy Picks are coming in. We had some really cool picks last month. If you saw the last day of the month feeder flash there, we had that alligator that was going after some calves there in South Louisiana, and I thought that was a really cool pick there. And Ed's going to get to enjoy all the awards for having the Punchy Pick of the Month contest. But get your Punchy Picks in. Just send a picture to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. You're automatically entered. Doesn't cost anything, of course. And you can get the grand prize with some really cool stuff from Beaver Feed Company in Beaver, Oklahoma. Some cool swag from Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. And then, of course, you get the big part of the grand prize, which is a whole case of Therapies, which is that revolutionary product that's scientifically proven. I'll try to remember to stick a testimonial video on the end of this feeder flash video so you guys can find out more about it. But you can't afford not to try Therapies, guys. Also, Limousine and Limb Flex. If you're going to bull sales, we still got a lot of bull sales left this spring here on our spring bull sales. You might want to check out Limousine and Limb Flex to go with your genetics, guys. They have been concentrating on feed efficiency, improved marbling, superior yield grade, and calving ease. And here today, on Thursday, we've got one of the most prestigious Limousine and Limb Flex production sales that you'll see all year long. It's the 36th annual Wolf Cattle Company, based out of Minnesota, but starting during COVID, they started having online-only sales, and they've been really working well for them. And they're going to be having one. It's actually going to be in Weatherford, Texas, but we won't be much of a crowd there. Just me taking bids from DVAuction, Superior guy taking online bids there, and then there'll be a handful of sale managers there and order buyers that'll be buying there on site, but not really any customers. It's mostly all online, guys. And get on to DVAuction, bid to me on that Limousine sale, because it's always fun whenever we sell more bulls than Superior does. But Casey Fanta, he's the manager there, and he's a good guy. Get a hold of him if you got any questions about it on Thursday morning here. And that sale is going to be today here on Thursday, starting at noon Central Time. Like I said, based out of Weatherford, Texas. Is going to be at the Spring Hill Suites Hotel. And get on to DVAuction.com, and they've got one of the best buyback programs that's going, guys. So if you want to get some cattle that'll grow, that you can hang 1,700 pounds on and give you a lot of frame there, get on to Limousine sale there of Wolf Cattle Company. Get on to DVAuction.com, noon Central. Bid to me on that sale. Be much appreciated. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction late in the day on Wednesday sitting at 248.53. That was actually up $1.63, tailing off some of those prices from last week when we were, in the middle of the scare there. Early sales of the early signs of the bird flu there. But your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was 247.73. Don't forget, Callaway Livestock Center is having their special cow sale tonight at 6 p.m. right there from Kingdom City, Missouri. And I've been telling you about all the top quality replacement kind of stock you can get there. A lot of bred heifers and bred cows and pairs on that sale. Coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas. Gave a presentation to Texas Bankers Association group there. A lot of good people there, a lot of cattle people there, and they were ag lenders for the most part, and enjoyed visiting with them. Talk about your big feeder cattle sales on Wednesday. How about OKC West in El Reno, Oklahoma, 4,900 head. Feeder steers weighing over 900 pounds were only steady to a buck lower. but those middleweight feeders going right into the feedlot, especially weighing under 900 pounds, were $8 to $12 lower for no other reason than this bird flu fiasco, guys. Feeder heifers sold $4 to $8 lower. Calves on Tuesday were not well tested, but I gave you some quotes on the last feeder flash about how well that sale was, and it was pretty good. They just didn't have a lot of calves on hand. Winter Livestock in Dodge City, Kansas had 2,500 on Wednesday. Feeder steers there were $6 to $10 lower. Other classes had not a good comparison or were not well tested, but man, it's starting to take a toll on our cash markets there, and we knew it eventually would. But one place that it did not was our National BeefWire stick-out sale of the day, and that's Bassett Livestock auction up there in the Sandhills of Nebraska in Bassett, Nebraska. 5,200 head for a big feeder sale there. You look at this automated marker report, and every single 100-pound weight group looks like an outstanding individual quote, but it was a weighted average on all of the cattle within that weight group, and let's check them out here. How about 380 head of 5-weight steers in Bassett, Nebraska, average 554 pounds with a weighted average price of $326.06. 687 head of 6-weight steers in Bassett, average 638 at $299.34 on the weighted average on nearly 700 of them, guys. How about 867 head of 7-weight steers, average 737 at $275.72. 525 head of 8-weight steers, averaged 843 at $248.21. And 869 head of feeder steers out of Bassett, Nebraska, had a weighted average weight of 955, weighted average price on all of them of $234.84. Let's look at some heifers and some popular weight groups there. 320 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 665 at $258.59. 331 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 743 at $246.89. And 581 head of 8-weight heifers, Bassett, Nebraska, averaged 830 pounds, the weighted average price of $233.80. Talk about a quote from a market that I haven't talked about. I don't know if I've ever talked about it before, but it was Lewistown Livestock, and that's in Lewistown, Montana. The owner there is Kyle Shobe, and he's just one of them guys that you love to hate. He's pretty. He's a world-class auctioneer. He picks and sings. He has a band. He's one of the best rodeo announcers that I've ever seen there in Cheyenne Frontier Days every year out in the middle stage. And he's got a great family there. But I do have more hair than Kyle Shobe has, so there you go on that. But Kyle Shobe had an outstanding sale at Lewistown, Montana. And it was the Stanford family there, sold 62 heifers, weighed 700 pounds at $264. I asked him if they were replacements. He said they could be, but the guy that was right behind him was definitely going to feed. So that's your market up there, central Montana there, on some outstanding heifers. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Bassett Livestock Auction in Bassett, Nebraska. It was a consignment of cattle. I'm going to tell you about the steers, 2 big drags of them, from Bruce and Justin Palmer, and I hear that they're Feeder Flash gang members, so cheers to you guys on that. But check out these 2 big drags of steers that the Palmers sold. 89 steers weigh 621 at $325.50. And if that didn't shock you enough, how about 82 bigger steers weighed 704 and bring $305? That's your feeder flash for Thursday.